Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are in the Acts of the Apostles, the book of Acts, chapter 24, verses 1 through 23. Now, the Roman governor, Felix, sends word that he has Paul in custody at his palace in Caesarea, and he sends this word to the ambush conspirator, the high priest Ananias. So Ananias trucks up to Caesarea with a group of elders in tow and a lawyer. And the lawyer is actually named, his name is Tertullus. Maybe he had billboards around Jerusalem, maybe he's one of those kind of lawyers. Anyways, when the trial begins, the lawyer does all the talking for Ananias and his crew. And he says, Paul is a troublemaker. He's a riot stirrer-upper. He's a Jesus sect ringleader. He is a temple desecrator. And that's his opening argument, and all the other Jews pile on, making these accusations against Paul. And Paul says, all these accusations are baseless. I went to go worship. I wasn't doing any arguing. I wasn't stirring up any crowds. I'm a follower of the way, which is the people of Jesus. And I believe that everything is in accord with the law and the prophets. Now, this is big because remember, Jesus is the fulfillment of all the law and the prophets. That's what Paul is arguing, that he is trying to persuade Jews to understand as he goes from synagogue to synagogue around the Mediterranean world. We remember when Jesus was at the Mountain Transfiguration and he met Elijah and Moses, the prophets and the law being fulfilled in him. But Ananias and his crew, they reject that. And he goes on. Paul makes this amazing statement. I have the same hope as these folks over here in God of a resurrection to judgment. Well, the truth is the high priests don't believe in resurrection. And so it's kind of funny that Paul says this. And he says, and Paul goes on to say, the only reason I was in Jerusalem is because I brought benevolence. I brought help to the poor in Jerusalem. And then he goes on to say there were some Jewish guys that came down from Asia Minor, which is Turkey. And they're the ones who should be here because they're the ones who started all the ruckus, all the riot at the temple. And he said, if I'm to be accused of anything, it's the one thing I shouted when I was on trial before that guy, Ananias, and his cronies over there. And what was the thing that Paul shouted? I am being tried for hoping in the resurrection of the dead. I am being tried for hoping in the crucified and risen Savior, is what he's saying. And he's right. That is why he's being tried. He is facing an indictment for resurrection hope. As Christians, that is the foundation of our faith. The cross means nothing without the resurrection. All the words of the gospel mean nothing if Jesus Christ is not risen from the dead. Paul says this himself in 1 Corinthians 15. He says, if all we hoped for was to be better people in this life, to be more legalistic, then we of all people are to be pitied. Our hope is in the risen Christ. Well, thanks, my friends. Have a blessed day.